Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we are trying out a brand new team, and this was submitted by a YouTube viewer called Mase Harper, so thank you to them for the team. As you can see, the team revolves around Eternatus as well as Weezing and Regigigas. Eternatus is really interesting. I don't think it's, a super strong restricted pick in the format, especially because it's, typing does make it a little bit awkward, like being weak to ground and dragon definitely hurts it. But with Power Herb and Meteor Beam, like you can get a +1 special attack boost immediately, and then it really can do a lot more damage once it gets in a special attack boost here. And so of course Weezing Regigigas is a strong duo with it because Gigas is going to want to Dynamax with this team pretty much all the time. So you have Weezing Regigigas Eternatus really as kind of the core, and then you can fill in Tornadus, Incineroar, Celesteela as the last one. Celesteela is helpful just for general support, as well as Incineroar, and then Tornadus can Tailwind to really boost the speed of Eternatus and Regigigas even further, and really allow you to just pick up some knockouts. So yeah, a couple things to note here are that the Regigigas set, as you see, it doesn't have like max lightning or max flare, but instead it has drain punch and knockoff. So you can use knockoff, which is pretty helpful because even after max, removing your opponent's items is really valuable. And then of course, max knuckle can boost your attack, especially if you're anticipating protects on turn 1. This is Galarian Weezing with Clear Smog, which is interesting. Clear Smog is definitely helpful against some of the setup-oriented strategies out there, since like Swords Dance is quite common on a lot of Pokemon right now, and just weakness policy setups as well. And then Eternatus, like I mentioned, is a cool option just because of Meteor Beam. You can either use it in the early game with Tornadus or use it in the late game after, leading Weezing and Regigigas. So, yeah. So, looking forward to trying it out. I think, like I said, Eternatus' damage output it's not bad, but it also doesn't feel incredible for restricted Pokemon, and that's where, like, the Power Herb and the Meteor Beam really takes it to the next step. That really just, like, drastically increases your damage output. So, yeah. Thank you to Mase for the team. Rento is in the description below, and let's get started with today's episode. Thanks so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please share support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, with Pokemon Day coming up, I want to know what you're hoping for, expecting. I personally don't want to go in with like the super high expectations, but I love Gen 4, so if they actually announced Gen 4 remakes, I would definitely lose it. But I don't know. Like I don't want to have too high hopes and then be disappointed, so I'm just eager to see what they announce. Either way, let's get into it. Alright, getting into the first game of the day, we're up against, let me move my webcam up a little bit, Zacian. Okay. Zacian's not fun for Weezing Gigas. Like, Aleki plus Zacian, I think, is a really possible lead from my opponent's end. So to cover for that, I kind of want to set up Tailwind with Tornadus, go with Eternatus, and then Weezing Gigas in the back. Man, Celesteela's not bad here, though, but I kind of think I need to outspeed Zacian, because otherwise it's just such a big threat. But yeah, this is where I think the lack of max flare or max quake on Reggie hurts, because I can't really do that much damage to Zacian even with Dynamax Regigigas. Like, neither Weezing or Gigas can really touch the Zacian. So yeah, I think like one suggestion or like one small adjustment you could make to improve the team here a little bit is to add fire type attacks, just more fire type attacks in general, or ground type attacks just to help against steel types, because I find that steel types are probably the toughest matchup for this team in general. Ground types can be tricky as well, but at least with ground types, like, Regigigas can do a lot of damage to them, whereas with steel types, like, yeah, you're just kind of limited in options. So, let's see. I think we should be able to get Tailwind off. They could lead Fake Out. They're going to go Landorus and Thundurus. Okay. It feels like I'm playing 2013 right now. It's not bad for Eternatus, because what I can do turn 1 is just Tailwind and then Meteor Beam. Yeah, because if I get the Tailwind off, I get the Meteor Beam off, then Regigigas is looking pretty good afterwards. So I think I'm content with that. Tailwind. Oops, that's not Tailwind. Tailwind. And just Meteor Beam into Thundurus. Get rid of Thundurus, then we bring in Regigigas, switch Tornadus out for Weezing, and then try to clean up with Gigas, basically. I guess what's interesting here is, like, does Landorus max? Because I could have gone Dynamax Cannon onto it. I guess Thundurus can max, actually. I didn't even think about that. But they switch Landorus out, which is really good for us. Like, really good for us. And they brought Zacian. Okay, I don't mind that at all. Cool. They're probably expecting, like, a Dynamax Cannon into that slot. And they do commit a Dynamax onto Thundurus. Interesting. Okay. So my question, I mean, if we just one-shot here with Meteor Beam, I feel like we just win the game. I don't think Meteor Beam one-hit KOs, unfortunately, but I don't know. It is Eternatus that we're talking about here, so let's see. Okay. I mean, this is definitely, I think, the best possible outcome turn 1, as long as we don't miss Meteor Beam. I get Tailwind up, which means now I outspeed the Zacian with Regigigas, which is really, really important. Okay, we're going to go for the Meteor Beam, get the charge up. Alright. I don't know, I mean, if we hit, it just feels like we're in such a good spot, because then I can just Flamethrower the Zacian next turn. Okay, so we get Power Robot. Well, that's the downside to using Meteor Beam. What a bummer. What a bummer. Okay, well, I am at least still at +1 and I have Tailwind. So I think I'm just going to Flamethrower here into the Zacian and Hurricane into Thundurus. If we hit that, we'd actually be in such good shape, even if we missed, to be honest, because they didn't even KO. But they max guard, so I think like maybe Flamethrower just KOs the Zacian here. Okay, good. I was nervous about them outspeeding us, but we're... because I don't think we're max speed. Okay, but we just got rid of the biggest threat to Regigigas, so honestly, that's totally okay. Let we miss Meteor Beam. This is why, like, Eternatus getting to +1 under Tailwind is actually a really, really big threat. Because now I can just Dynamax Cannon into Thundurus next turn. They do have Fake Out user, so they could just get a free switch into Fake Out right now, which is scary. And I can't protect in front of it, unfortunately. But that's Giuremeki coming out. Okay, that's fine with me. Well, I think we just Dynamax Cannon into this, right? And I'm down to just Hurricane into Giuremeki here. Yeah, let's Dynamax Cannon. I think this should KO at +1 special attack. I hope so. Really glad we were able to just knock out the Zacian, though, because that's by far the biggest threat to the team, and like the main way we can deal with it is... okay, nice, we get Dynamax Cannon off. The main way we can deal with it is basically Flamethrower from this, so yeah. Okay, let's see if this one-shots. It does. Oh, it's so satisfying to one-shot a Maxmon. So who needs Rusted Shield or Rusted Sword when you have Meteor Beam with Power Herb? Despite missing, still ends up working out alright for us. We're gonna miss Hurricane. Never mind, we didn't miss. Oh, we did miss, actually. Okay, they just went for Electro Web, but I'm guessing, yeah. Cool, so I think Weezing plus Regigigas was going to close out this game, because like you don't really have that much damage output with Focus Sash on the Weezing. Things were looking pretty good, but yeah, that was our first game with Eternatus. So that's what Eternatus can do, right? If you are able to get the +1 boost from Meteor Beam, like it can absolutely wreck. So fortunately for us, we survived. We were able to outspeed the Zacian. I think Zacian is honestly one of the biggest threats to this team, so it is kind of scary to go up against, mainly just because like Regigigas isn't super reliable against it. But fortunately for us here, we were able to just pick up a KO immediately. So that's huge. The lead worked out really well for us as well. Kind of surprised, like I feel like they could have just let Zacian in that matchup. Wow, this is a cool team. Kyurem-W, Tapu, Lele. They have their own Tailwind as well, which is scary. Weezing can shut down their Prankster, but I don't really know how valuable that is for us. They have Lele, which is a big threat to Eternatus. The thing is, Eternatus is also a big threat to Lele. What do I want to bring here? Their Celesteela makes me really nervous because, like I said, without the lack of like consistent damage output against Steel types, I basically have to rely on Eternatus going for just a Flamethrower. So yeah, I think one slight modification like you could make to this team is like I think Max Flare on Regigigas would be really good with this team because you also set up the Sun for Eternatus and for potential Incineroar. I also think Flamethrower on Celesteela over Wide Guard could be valuable with this team just because Steel types are a really tricky matchup, and as of right now we're basically solely relying on Eternatus, maybe Incineroar, but mainly Eternatus, right? So I could just go Weezing. Kind of want to match their Tailwind though, so like Eternatus, Tornadus, Weezing. I just like am really nervous about their Celesteela because we don't have reliable damage output against it. I could have brought my own Celesteela or my Incineroar. It's just really tough because like with my Incineroar, I can't Fake Out if they have Psychic Terrain, and I'm only using it basically to try to Flare Blitz into their Celesteela. So yeah, But what I'm nervous about here is by leading Eternatus, if it goes down early, how do I beat Regigigas in the late game? Or sorry, Celesteela in the late game. I'm not sure I have a great answer. But they go with Whimsicott and the Kyurem, which I think is actually really good for us. Because I think this is just a Tailwind and a... question is whether or not I Dynamax Cannon. That's a big question. Because, like, are you really going to Dynamax here? Because, like, I could see them just protecting or switching out. And then I can Meteor Beam to capitalize off that. Dynamax Cannon's pretty safe though, right? What would you switch into? Celesteela? Or Lele, I guess? I just can't see them, like, maxing Kyurem and attacking Eternatus turn 1, I guess, unless they were, like, Assault Vest. But even then, kind of want to go for the Meteor Beam play here. So I'll Tailwind and Meteor Beam into Kyurem. Let's see. I don't know, I'm expecting a Protect or a switch here. I could have targeted Whimsicott, but I actually think Whimsicott's super scary. Yeah, they switch. Okay. Celesteela coming in here would actually be quite nice, but they go into Lele, which I'm also okay with. That's totally fine. Nice. So, I don't know. I feel like Eternatus is so strong against the Kyurem that it doesn't make much sense for them to stay in there, because, like, you want to Dynamax that thing most of the time. Okay, now my only concern is if they have Trick Room on Whimsicott. Oh no, that might actually be coming. Okay, no, they taunt. Cool, we have Mentor. Wait, they were slower than Tornadus too, so they're not max speed, which is interesting. Okay. Let's see if we can hit this Meteor Beam. Yeah, Meteor Beam is just so essential to this set, and I really like it because you already have the Life Orb committed to Regigigas. I think Life Orb is also definitely a viable set on this, but then it's like, what are you really maxing? And Meteor Beam also just has such good coverage, and I think so few people expect this, so... If we one-shot here, we're in really good shape. We don't get the one-hit KO, but that's honestly okay. I guess my only fear now is if you're Choice Scarf Tapu Lele. And with Terrain up, I can't really taunt, which is kind of a bummer. Yeah, I mean, if there's Scarf Lele, this is actually still pretty bad, because you can just Psychic and KO Eternatus, like Tailwind and Psychic. So, like, I can Hurricane here and Flamethrower into that slot. I just really hope they're not Scarf Lele here. If they're not, I think we're in a very winning position, and if they are, I think we kind of just lose. Okay, they're not. Good. Oh, thank goodness. That was really scary, because, I don't know, Scarf Lele in general isn't exactly super common, but it would have been really, really good against us here. We miss Hurricane again. Yeah, I don't know if I like Hurricane too much. I think I'd prefer Air Slash just because, like, I'd rather have guaranteed damage rather than, like, a strong attack like a miss. Air Slash would have been great for us there because we just break a potential Focus Sash, but that's okay. We're in pretty good shape right now. We're at +1 special attack. You don't have a great switch in here right now if you're my opponent, right? Like, Kyurem's just going to get wrecked by a Dynamax Cannon, so Eternatus is fantastic has been fantastic for us. Don't forget, we still have Weezing in the late game as well. It's just scary because normally Weezing should be really good in the late game, but like I said, I'm really nervous about my opponent having, wow, they have Incineroar. So they didn't bring Celesteela, which is really good for us because this means Weezing and Gigas can put in a lot more work, so I'm happy about that. We have 2 turns of Tailwind left. They can Fake Out into Tornadus right now, but not into Eternatus. So, like, I could just Protect here. Instin's not really that much of a threat with Gigas here in the back. So, like, I'm thinking we can just Protect here. Well, do I even need to Protect? Like, you'd have to Fake Out Moonblast. I think it's actually worth it just to attack in this position, so I'll just Hurricane Whimsicott and Sludge Bomb onto it. The reason I'm targeting Whimsicott is because, like, I don't want them to... Like, I want to get another Tailwind up in this game. Oh, they actually just switch out. Okay. That works for me. Sure. I mean, if we don't miss Hurricane, like, Kyurem just probably takes, like, 70% damage right now. They didn't Fake Out either, yeah, okay. So they're probably parting Shotting, Sludge Bomb connects, and we get a Poison, which is quite fortunate. And we hit the Hurricane this time around. Nice. Perfect. Yep, that's around 70%. And they're going to go for Parting Shot probably into Eternatus, but yeah, at this point, like, they've taken so much damage. Like, I think Weezing Gigas cleans up, and the fact that they didn't bring Celesteela is really, really good for us. So there's one more turn of Tailwind left, which is good as well, because both of our Pokemon outspeed both of our opponent's Pokemon right now. If I can knock out Whimsicott, then I can get another Tailwind up later on. Maybe you just knock out the Tornadus here, but... Poison also means Kyurem's fainting soon, although now the question is, do you Dynamax Kyurem? So we're at neutral. 2 turns of Tailwind left on my opponent's end. We have Weezing Gigas in the back. We haven't even taken damage yet, which is obviously great. I think it's pretty safe to Hurricane Whimsicott and just like hedge my bets and Sludge Bomb into Kyurem. Because like if Kyurem protects, yeah, okay, it's not going to protect. But now it's like, what does my opponent even Dynamax, right? Like that's why I think the Whimsicott switch out was really risky, because Kyurem was like their only way to win the game offensively. We miss Hurricane again. This is why I was saying, like, I think I like Air Slash a little bit more, just because, like, it is just more consistent. And I'm not sure the damage, like, trade-off is worth it, but... So we've seen Energy Ball and Tailwind from Whimsicott, and Taunt. So I wonder if it's Energy Ball and Moonblast, that'd be interesting. But at this point, like, both Incin and Whimsicott kind of hard lose to Regigigas, so I think, like, had my opponent brought Celesteela over Incineroar, this would have been substantially more difficult. I can see why they wanted to bring Incin, right? Like, we do have Regigigas, but the thing is, like, it's hard to actually intimidate Regigigas when Weezing is out. I guess they also probably saw the Celesteela and was like, I need a good answer against that. That would make some sense. So let's see. 1 turn of Psychic Terrain. They are on their last turn of Tailwind. You can't fake out into Eternatus right now. They just don't have good damage into Eternatus, actually. So, like, I don't mind protecting here, going for a Sludge Bomb onto Whimsicott. Yeah. I guess you Dynamax Incin. But with Weezing and Gigas in the back, like, I should be able to just clean up with those. Yeah, they do Dynamax Incineroar. So, I mean, the only scary thing here is, like, you're probably sashed on Whimsicott. You can taunt me the next turn to deny me a Tailwind, but I don't even know if I really need Tailwind right now. Ooh, Helping Hand. That's actually really cool. I don't know if I needed to protect there, then. It's probably Helping Hand Max Darkness into Eternatus. If Sludge Bomb poisons here, it's definitely game over, but I could see my opponent theoretically pulling off a comeback here right now, especially with that Helping Hand play. I guess I should have just doubled up on a Whimsicott there, because they are going to lower special defense with Max Darkness. Eternatus does survive, though, so that's nice. I also don't know if your Incineroar even outspeeds us under Tailwind, to be honest. That's the other part of the question I have. All I need to do is get Regigigas in safely with Weezing next to it right now, so that's what we're aiming for. Tailwind expired. Yeah, I don't even know if your Incineroar outspeeds, but I don't think I even need a Tailwind here. I think I can just Hurricane and go for Sludge Bomb. Maybe Tailwind is safer, but I could see them going for a Taunt. But I don't think Incin shouldn't be able to beat Regigigas, especially because they've Dynamaxed before us. But the lead worked out really well for us here, honestly. I think a Tapu Lele lead would have been scarier because I don't one-shot with the Sludge Bomb. Okay, they just go for Tailwind, that's fine. Yeah, we are just faster with Eternatus anyway, so that should be game over. Cool. Yeah, I mean, now we just bring out Regigigas, and it should seal up the game for us. Incin does outspeed Tornadus now, and they're going to Max Darkness into Eternatus, so I get Hurricane, I can Tailwind, bring in Gigas, Max Knuckle, and then, yeah, just win the game the subsequent turn, so. My opponent couldn't really do much with the lead matchup, honestly. This is why lead matchups are so important. We miss another Hurricane. That's 4 Hurricane misses in the span of 2 games, and I mean, it's funny, right? Because it does highlight why Hurricane is an inconsistent option. And, you know, it definitely is really strong, and it's great, especially on rain teams, for example, but given that we're not a rain team here, just doesn't feel great. So I'm just going to Tailwind here, Max Knuckle, and then the next turn we just switch Tornadus out into Weezing and then Max Strike to win the game. So yeah, should be game over. Even if you crit a Max Flare into Regigigas, it's not enough to pick up the knockout, and then once we deactivate Slow Start by switching in Weezing, then Max Strike should just KO. So Eternatus has honestly been really good for us in these first 2 games just as the lead matchup. But I don't know, the first game, like, I think both of my opponents in these last 2 games, like, I think, once again, I can't highlight steel types just when I was practicing, is just kind of scary to go up against, and if your opponent plays, like, really smartly with their steel types, it is really, really tough, especially because, like, we're using, you know, Weezing here, Galarian Weezing rather than Kanto Weezing. So, they actually flare into Tornadus, which lets us just get a free switch in. So yeah, like, you know, the moveset on Regigigas is always, like, you have a lot of freedom with what you want. I personally, like, used to love Max Lightning and Max Darkness. I think Max Darkness is so great, and I love the knockoff on this Regigigas specifically, because one thing you'll notice is that, you know, Regigigas, Weezing often will go down, right? And so after Dynamax, like Regigigas isn't doing much if it's slow started, but knockoff is actually really valuable because even if you're not doing much damage, just removing your opponent's items is really, really good. And when I use Max Darkness, I used to use Darkest Lariat instead, so I really like the knockoff choice on the Gigas here. You know, Max Strike is a staple, Max Hailstorm is a staple, and I think Max Flare could be a really interesting option to consider over Max Knuckle here. But now we have Weezing Gigas in safely, I can just Sludge Bomb, Knuckle. Well, I guess Strike. I'm pretty sure Max Knuckle should KO, +1, and Slow Start's gone now. But I guess Max Strike would have guaranteed the win. But I don't think Instinct can really win in this position anyway. So I'm curious, let's see if +1 Max Knuckle with Life Orb is enough to knock out Incineroar. It is, okay, yeah. Cool. I wasn't 100% sure about that, but this is pretty strong. So not bad. Eternatus has been pretty dang solid. And I think, like, the main reason it has been pretty solid is because we were able to get a pretty free +1 boost on turn 1. And the main thing is that in these past couple of games, my opponent... Well, actually, I guess in the first game, my opponent did have the Landorus to threaten me. But they basically went, like, all in on that play. And I'm not sure they needed to make that switch. Because, like, I think you could just stay in and attack with both Pokemon in that position and be in a pretty good spot. But by switching out, like, they didn't get anything off of the Landorus slot. And Eternatus was able to, you know, just get a free boost off without fainting, which was really nice. Ooh, Xerneas here. Okay, they got Xerneas, Sableye, and Amoonguss, which is pretty neat. So, let's see. Eternatus feels pretty... Oh, this is where we have Clear Smog on Weezing, and that could be a huge game changer. Yeah, so I think Clear Smog Weezing is fantastic here. Also gets rid of Fairy Aura, which is nice. They don't have Steel types, which is good. I could just go Weezing Gigas. What am I nervous about? If they just go Amoonguss plus Xerneas, I could Hailstorm. But you could be Focus Sash here, which is slightly scary. I could also go Tornadus, Eternatus. I don't know, I lean towards Weezing Gigas a little bit more here. I mean, the only problem is, what item are you on Xerneas? Also, like, do you expect Clear Smog? Tornadus, Eternatus, I can Tailwind. Meteor Beam turn 1. Okay, I'm gonna go with Weezing Regigigas, and then Tornadus and Eternatus in the back, I think. Yeah. This one's tricky. It's just that Sash is such a good item on Amoonguss right now that I honestly think it should be running it. The other thing is if I go for Clear Smog turn 1 and then they are sashed, I reveal the Clear Smog immediately, which doesn't feel good. Maybe the play is, if I'm assuming you're sashed, should you lead Amoonguss plus Xerneas, I just Max Strike Sludge Bomb turn 1, knock out Amoonguss. But then on turn 2, you probably just double up onto Weezing. So, I don't know. I don't know. Clear Smog is so good for us here. I just don't know if I can actually get it off. Okay, they go with Landorus-T though, so I'm happy to see that, honestly, because, like, you know, Gigas can just max turn 1 and put in a lot of work, and my opponent's not really threatening me with that much damage from their side right now. So, yeah, I'm okay with this. They don't really have a normal... Oh, they do have a normal type switch in Sableye. Would you really have Sableye in the back, though? That'd be kind of surprising to me. I default towards just Protect with Weezing here, Dynamax, and Strike into Aleki here. I think that's pretty safe. The only way this doesn't work is, yeah, if they have... They could be Sash Aleki as well. But the really cool thing here about Weezing is that we have... Wait, they're maxing Aleki? Oh, wow. Oh, no. Wait. Is it Scarf Landorus, or is our Regigigas not max speed? Because I'm a little bit surprised by that. Okay, I have to double check the Gigas spread after, because Gigas should really be max speed, so you outspeed Landorus. So if we are max speed, it just confirms that it's Choice Scarf Landorus, which is actually really good information to know here. Oh, I guess you can combo Electro Web. Yeah, that's scary. I wish I Hailstormed into Landorus here. That would have been really good. But we have Dynamax Cannon in the back end Tornadus, so it's not really the end of the world. I could even pivot Weezing out into Tornadus next turn, potentially. My only fear now is if you're actually Focus Sash on Aleki. I don't think it should be, but nah. Yeah, it is Electro Web. Okay. Hailstorm on Landorus would have probably just won us the game immediately here. But I did not go for it. Okay, and they Airstream into Gigas. That was a lot of damage. That's scary. Ah, that was a crit, that's why. Okay. Good play turn 1. Like, I don't mind playing it safe here, but that crit definitely hurts a little bit. I would just like to know whether or not it's Scarfed. So we will get the strike off. Okay, not Sash, it looks like. Oh, it is. I always can't tell. Oh, man. Sash is on a Lecky as well. That is not good for us. That is not good. Not good at all. -1 speed. Let me double check the speed of that. My opponent made a really high risk, high reward play. Oh, yeah, we're not max speed. Oh. Yeah, I like Regigigas more just because you ensure you outspeed Landorus. But, you know, there's merit to using both. I don't think E-Webs KOs Tornadus, so I honestly want to switch out right now to conserve Weezing to try to get a Tailwind up with this thing. And then just Hailstorm into Landorus. If I'm my opponent, I think you should double up onto Weezing right now. So this is obviously like a... I guess Transistor does turn on though, but you're not Magnet, so I think we would survive Electro Web with Tornadus. Maybe I'm wrong in that assumption. I don't know. Doesn't feel like a great switch. And it's really frustrating because, yeah, if I just like, I was hoping to just one-shot a Lecky there, but they did end up... Oh, they just T-Bolt. Oh, that's not good. That is not good. Although we should survive an attack from Landorus, so it's maybe not the end of the world because I get the Hail up. But that crit turn 1 hurts, and if they actually KO us here, we should just lose. Yeah, but they don't KO. Okay, so that's good at least. But the problem is that Landorus has the... No, it doesn't have the speed boost. Never mind. We have Eternatus in the back. So we can actually probably bring out Eternatus right now, which is good. And then just Dynamax Cannon into Landorus. Yeah, Hailstorm still does so much damage. Like, I was just kind of surprised by this play turn 1, because if I am just, you know, Oh, no. Electro Web covers, and you drop my speed immediately, which makes a lot of sense. So, it was just the focus Sash on Lecky I was kind of surprised by, because I feel like Sash on Amoonguss makes a lot of sense, given that it's a Xerneas team. And unfortunately, I called the item incorrectly there. But I guess Hailstorm into Landorus is always pretty safe. I just really didn't think they would Dynamax there immediately. So let's see, we're at -1 speed here, right? So I think the best option is to just bring out Eternatus. Because then we can just Dynamax Cannon into Lando right now. It's just scary because they have Xerneas as well, so like that can just set up in front of us. I think you just Geomancy if you're my opponent here. I really wish Regigigas actually fainted there, because then I could just clear Smog and we'd probably win the game with Eternatus. But I think I'll Dynamax Cannon here. Go for a strike onto the Xerneas. I could switch Eternatus out into Weezing. Hold on. Is that a possible play? Because I think here you're going to target Eternatus. Wait, I actually kind of like that. Because, like, if they Geomancy here, and we just strike into Xerneas, we could win the game with the late game Eternatus. Because what are their support mons in their remaining Pokemon are all pretty supportive, right? I don't know, this is pretty risky, but I feel like if I'm my opponent, I'm quaking and, Oh, they just protect. Wow. So we would have won the game with the Dynamax Cannon there, it feels like. Yeah, good protect. Worked out for them. Oh, that's really frustrating. Because I don't know, I felt like... I guess they were just worried about Sludge Bomb KOing because they didn't know the item on Eternatus. This one felt a little bit tough because like I feel like we actually had a really favorable matchup, but... Yeah. Like, we shouldn't lose with Weezing Gigas based off this lead. I just thought like if they just Geomancy and Max Quake there, I'm really, really screwed. But like, because like, yeah, I would outspeed with Eternatus, so if I just Dynamax Cannon there into Landorus and Max Strike, I feel like I win the game. And so I thought they had to cover for that play, but in the end, the Protect works out for them. So, yeah, well done. Unfortunately, I think we will lose the game off this now, because you can just Geomancy, and we're going to faint from Hail. That feels bad. I guess it was a risky play, I don't know, but if I just Dynamax Cannon and Max Strike there, I feel like my opponent just wins. Well, maybe not, because we do have Weezing in the back, and I could, but Eternatus can't Protect, which is part of the problem. I really thought it would be a Geomancy there, and because I think I would Geomancy in that position, to be honest. So this one was a tough one. Yeah, this is why I like Regigigas more. Actually, it didn't end up mattering in the context of this game. Maybe we can still win. Survive an EQ. Or for some reason they don't Geomance. But with what they have in the back, it's game over at this point, I would think. I don't even think Sludge Bomb knocks out Xerneas here. Which is why I didn't think they needed to protect last turn. I guess I'll Meteor Beam. It's just so frustrating because I could have just Dynamaxed Cannon into Lando. But great protect on their end. If I just Dynamax Cannon and Max Strike there, like, then I have Weezing in safely and I lower Xerneas' speed. So then it's -1 Xerneas against its full HP Eternatus and Weezing. So I feel like we'd win the game off that. And I'm also just really surprised about Dynamax Landorus in front of a Regigigas. But maybe my opponent just felt like it was their best option. And it worked out for them, right? So kudos. I don't know. I think... Oh, that's a Assault Vest. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, they go for Fly. Geomancy. Yeah. Tricky. I also switched in Tornadus on the Thunderbolt. That was kind of sketchy on my end. Maybe I just sacrifice Weezing there and get a free switch into Tornadus. I definitely have the tools to win this one. I feel like I just didn't expect a lot of my opponent's plays. Man, it's just... Yeah, Dynamax Cannon just would have been so nice into Landorus there. I just did not see the Protect coming because I really didn't think they needed to, and it ended up being a really good... It was like a really high-risk, high-reward Protect, in my opinion. Now they should just win the game. I guess not knocking out Landorus wasn't actually bad. Oh, actually, I don't know. If I just Sludge Bombed a Xerneas there to KOs, like, I feel like... Fly. It depends on what their last one was. Maybe the play was to just Sludge Bomb a Xerneas. I wouldn't think it would KO, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure there. Either way, yeah, well played by my opponent. I really thought Sash would be on Amoonguss there in the end, and like for how good Weezing was so good here, I just like didn't really utilize it super well. So kind of kind of unfortunate there. All right, next match of the day, we got Yveltal here. Yveltal, Fini, Spectrier, Metagross, Incin, Landorus-I. Metagross is a really big problem, I think, but we do have Max Darkness. Will-O-Wisp from Spectrier concerns me. I feel like I'm just playing with the same mode over and over again, but I think it just works here, so why not? Okay, let's try it out. Tornadus, Eternatus, Weezing. That seems okay. And the idea here is to... What is the idea here, too? Meteor Beam early with Eternatus. Dynamax Cannon's not very good against Metagross. Metagross is the main threat here. Maybe I mean, I've already restated this so many times today, but I just never know when to bring Celesteela and Incin. I don't know who to give up for it, which is the tricky thing about it. So yeah. This is definitely kind of scary. Okay, what do we have? Spectre or Landorus. Okay, yeah, so this is why I didn't want to go Weezing, because, like, this is still kind of scary turn 1, though, because I think my best play is probably... I just feel like I lose to late game Metagross right now. Like, I'm just thinking towards the end of the late game, and, like, early, this is maybe okay. I don't even need a Tailwind turn 1, right? It might be worthwhile, though, in case Tornadus goes down. So, like, just Tailwind and Meteor Beam turn 1. I'm going to target Spectrier. But I don't think +1 Meteor Beam one-shot Spectrier. And I think Sash Spectrier is definitely a possibility here, too. If I had to guess, it's Bulldoze Spectrier, Policy on Metagross. Bulldoze Spectrier, Policy on Metagross, AB on Yveltal, Sash on Spectrier. Life Orb on Landorus. Those are just the most standard items, right? Okay, we hit Meteor Beam, which is good. Yeah, it's not a KO. I feel like I just lose to Metagross right now, which is the problem. Wait, that's a slow Spectrier. Landorus outsped it. So it's probably really bulky. They just Shadow Ball. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if I lead Weezing here, you just Will-O-Wisp me turn 1. So that didn't feel good either. I don't know what my best line of action to take here was then, really. I don't really want to switch out into Weezing right now either. Like, I could Taunt and just Ice Punch. I just feel like I get wrecked if I get hit by a Will-O-Wisp. Maybe I should have just gone for Hurricane instead. Never mind. But then it's like if I miss, that's really bad. I also could have just Dynamaxed Regigigas here. I'm expecting Will-O-Wisp on this thing, because I feel like you're a Bulldoze set. Yeah, but I just take too much damage from Earth Power here, I think. Yeah, I guess I needed to max there. They did Will-O-Wisp, but I think I'm just too far behind in this game. I don't have enough damage right now. We one-shot Lando, which is nice, but Metagross is the problem, right? This is where I was saying how like Steel types can be kind of tricky to go up against. Nice lead by my opponent. Love to see the Landorus-I. So they played the first two turns really well. They do bring out Yveltal, so that's interesting. I actually don't mind seeing that, but I think they're just... Oh, I guess you could just even Sucker Punch right now. Like my play, I should have maxed just for bulk. That was my mistake not maxing. I got really greedy, and that wasn't worth it. Even if we maxed correctly, to be honest, I think I just lose to Metagross in the back, but maybe... Like, I could have, you know, hoped that they didn't have Metagross here. So, I think this game kind of highlights how the Eternatus is not very good against Ground-type Pokemon, and my opponent had Landorus-I here, so obviously not great for us. Yeah. They had a really good lead. Spectrier Landorus-I is really cool as well. So, yeah, I think it's Shadow Ball, Will-O-Wisp, Taunt. Or maybe not Taunt, Bulldoze for sure, though, on Spectrier with Weakness Policy Metagross makes the most sense. So, I don't really see us winning the game because the problem is that Weezing and Tornadus don't do damage. They do actually end up maxing Yveltal. I don't think Hailstorm even one-shots here. You should be bulky Yveltal. But that makes me think they actually didn't have Metagross in the back, which means I really should have Dynamaxed Gigas last turn. It was just a really bad decision to just go for regular Hailstorm. Because, like, Landorus has a very safe Earth Power until Regigigas slot, so I should have thought about that a little bit more. I don't know, if Hailstorm one-shots here, this actually becomes very interesting. But it's not enough, yeah. Yveltal is just a bulky Pokemon. Even if I had max last turn, then I'd probably still end up losing this game. I needed to use the Eternatus for the late game rather than the early game. But what do I lead in the early game then? Because if I go Weezing Gigas, I just get burnt turn 1 with Gigas. I feel like the Spectrier plus Landorus-I combo was just really, really good, and I don't have a good answer against that. Maybe it was Meteor Beam into Landorus-I, but I don't think that one-shots either. What about... Okay, alternatively, we could have gone Hurricane Meteor Beam into Landorus-I turn 1, because that's not going to Dynamax. If we actually pick up that KO, that's actually probably our best play in this game. Yeah, just try to knock out Landorus turn 1. So if I were to replay this, even though Hurricane accuracy is shaky, I actually think that's our best option. Because, like, the Spectre isn't really doing much other than Bulldoze or Shadow Ball. So, yeah, actually, two different things I should have done could have done differently. One was the double up onto Landorus-I turn 1. If we miss, it's bad, but the odds are still slightly in our favor. And then the other play would have been to go for... Because the thing is, by giving up Eternatus turn 1, I just am saying, hey, I lose to your Metagross now in the late game. So, I should have just doubled up onto Landorus-I, and I think, like, this game highlights how, like, I was a little bit careless with Eternatus, and I just gave it away for free on turn 1. You do get the confusion. But I think this is still game over at this point, yeah. Well played. I love the lead from my opponent. Love their turn 1 play and their turn 2 play as well. And Will-O-Wisp is one of the best ways to shut down Regigigas, unfortunately. So, with that from my opponent, not really much we could have done. And this is a great example of how sometimes you will just find a lead option that covers anything your opponent can really want to do. I'm curious on what their last Pokemon is. Let's see. What do we got? Tone Peter's out. The Eternatus games are pretty fast-paced, I have to say. Wow, it was Incineroar. They didn't have Metagross. So I actually... Oh, yep. Regigigas actually hard won this game for us if it didn't get burnt. So I needed to play better with my Regigigas, but that's okay. I think my opponent outlet us completely, and then I didn't make my best plays on the first couple of turns. And Eternatus was actually fantastic here. It was so good, I just didn't utilize it well. And, like, you know, I think it's also okay to assume they have Metagross in the back, and, like, if they had Metagross in the back, I would have just lost the game after, like, turn 1, it feels like, because I have no damage output against Metagross afterwards. But I guess one of the cool things about how this team is constructed is with Celesteela and Incineroar in team preview, your opponents are often dissuaded from bringing their steel types a little bit more, although we know that the matchup against steel types doesn't feel amazing. So, yeah. Eternatus was really good there. I just didn't do a good enough job playing with it. And yeah, Meteor Beam, Hurricane onto Lando would have been better. Only a 63% chance to connect with both, right? Because it's 90% and 70%. But that's still better. Like, those odds are still more in our favor. And if we actually pick up that KO onto Lando-I turn 1, they just Shadow Ball turn 1, right? We're in really good shape, I feel like. Especially because they didn't even have the Metagross in the back. Like, it would have been Yveltal, Spectrier, and Incin. So then I guess you're probably forced to bring the Incin and then go from there. So this goes to show how, like, turn 1 can matter so much, and I didn't find my best possible play on turn 1, and I got punished really heavily for it. Meteor Beam onto Spectrier didn't really make much sense because, like, they're probably Focus Sash in that position anyway. So, like, yeah, even if I bring you down to the Sash, so what, right? I'm not picking up a KO. Spectrier is actually not really that big of a threat to me. Because I have Taunt on the Tornadus as well. So I just didn't think of, like, my game plan well enough on turn 1 because, like, my opponent went with the lead I wasn't really expecting, and then they executed better than I did. So props to them. It was really interesting they didn't bring the Metagross there in the end, so Gigas actually could have put in a lot of work, but I just lost too many of my resources too early on, because with this team, the bulk of your damage is basically coming out from Eternatus and Gigas, and when you lose Eternatus like I did on turn 1, that's really not great. So yeah. Alright, let's get into things. That is a Exeggcute. What? No way. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what that's gonna do, and I am very nervous to go up against it. Okay. Yeah, I like Weezing Gigas here just outright. That's really good here, I think. And then Eternatus in the back. Tornadus for Tailwind somewhat valuable, but Incin might also be a little bit better here because I will just outspeed. Yeah, what I don't like about Tornadus is how bad it is after Tailwind. Maybe I should have brought in it, though, just for Exeggcute. I don't know what to expect from that. I've actually never seen that before, so. That's awesome. That's so cool. What a cool team. Okay, let's see what we can do. Weezing Gigas is not bad here. Galarian Zapdos is a little bit scary, though, and because Gigas isn't max speed, I think that definitely hurts a little bit as well. But that's okay. Let's see. It's Incineroar and Exeggcute. Oh gosh. I feel like it's just gonna Sleep Powder me. Like Fake Out Weezing, Sleep Powder, Gigas turn 1 is kind of what I'm expecting here. And your Focus Sash is my guess. That just seems to make the most sense by far. I don't have a Sleep Powder switch in, so that's not good. I can't protect this thing. So that's not good. I don't want to Dynamax Regigigas if I'm going to get put to sleep. I don't know. Oh, wait. It's probably Trick Room, actually, now that I look at it. Focus Sash Trick Room, I think, makes the most sense here. I am going to protect a knockoff turn 1. Could be Eviolite as well. Yeah, actually, it's definitely Trick Room here with this lead. Right? Okay, Fake Out into Weezing. Yep. We get knockoff off. Unfortunately, with the interaction, it's not like I can knock off the Focus Sash. Otherwise, that would have been really sweet. Yes, it was knockoff. Or sorry, it was Sash. Yeah, but it is Trick Room. Now I think you Sleep Powder into me, right? That is fascinating. I have Incident and Eternatus in the back, so it's not terrible, but I think here I'm just going to Sludge Bomb Exeggcute and Drain Punch into Incineroar. I don't want to max because I don't want to get hit by Sleep Powder. Oh, we actually outspeed Exeggcute. That's kind of nice. Okay, wait, that's huge. If you don't get to put me to sleep, that's a big deal. Yeah, they Parting Shot into Gigas. That's fine. I mean, I think Trick Room is definitely kind of a scary matchup for this team. I feel like in all the practice games I had, I never really did super well against Trick Room because there's not really that many protects, which means you can't stall out Trick Room easily. And Gigas and Eternatus are rather speedy Pokemon. But they bring out Rotom. Okay. Well, we'll get a Drain Punch off, which is actually kind of nice here. Probably does like 25-30%-ish. A little bit more on 40. Okay. Not bad. You know what's possible? I could switch Weezing out, get rid, or activate Slow Start, so then I actually outspeed under Trick Room, and then just like Giga Impact. I have Sash on Weezing still, which means I can burn Groudon. What's interesting is they're not bringing Groudon out right now. Okay. Why don't we just protect here? I could just protect and Dynamax Gigas now, but I guess you'll probably Parting Shot into Gigas. I just don't want this thing to Nasty Plot on me. Oh, but if you Nasty Plot, I have Clear Smog. Never mind. I can also self-clear Smog next turn, which is kind of cool. Surely Groudon's their last Pokemon. So Instant Intimidate's valuable. If I'm my opponent, I'm just clear Smogging Gigas. Or sorry, Parting Shot into Gigas. So I can Will-O-Wisp here, actually. And Drain Punch Rotom. I'm actually down for that. Oh, they just switch. Into Groudon? Nice. Will-O-Wisp is so important on this Weezing, I think. I didn't see that coming. Oh. I did not see that one. I don't think you one-shot with the Max Flare, though, because the sun isn't up. If you're not Lum on Groudon, then what I can do is just, like, double switch this next turn, let Trick Room expire, and then play towards Gigas. Yeah, Exeggcute being slower than us under Trick Room was a really big deal. This shouldn't KO, right? Oh, they target Weezing. Now we're definitely fine because we're sashed. Huge. Okay, great. I think now we just win the game with Weezing plus Regigigas. I went for Will-O-Wisp onto Incineroar there because it was like pretty low risk. There's not much downside. Sure, if Incin stays in and I don't get the burn off, then I don't get the burn off. But if I get the burn off, it's absolutely huge. Okay, so it is Citrus Tom here. Eternatus is also obviously very good against Rotom and the Incin. And now that we've burned Groudon, that's also good for us. Yeah, so I think here I'm content switching out Weezing into Incineroar to get that Intimidate off. Still 2 turns of Trick Room left, so I guess I have to be a little bit careful about that. Okay, Weezing out into Incin. See, I kind of want to conserve Eternatus for the late game right now. I go Weezing out into Incineroar. But I think... Weezing out into Incin. No, the Drain Punch should have gone into Groudon. I didn't want to Ice Punch because I don't want to activate a weakness policy on Groudon, but I think Knockoff onto Incin was the play there, actually. Sorry, onto Groudon was the play. Just get rid of its item in this position. I really think Eternatus can clean up this game, especially with Meteor Beam and these like Groudon's burnt and intimidated, so we're just using... We haven't even Dynamax yet, which is good, too. I didn't see Dynamax Rotom coming my way, though. Yeah, cool things we outspeed now under Trick Room, but at what cost? I guess the downside is if Gigas just faints to a Flare here, that's pretty bad. Oh, they are Swords Dance. Okay, that's kind of scary. That's definitely scary. And there's Flare. Yeah, into that slot. Okay, that's good at least. So I can fake out Groudon now. I feel like I really should just max the Gigas at this point. Fake out Groudon, Dynamax this thing, max Strike. Eternatus will close out the game for us right now, I think. So I can fake out max Strike Groudon, and then the next turn switch Incin back out into... I need to survive a max Flare here, basically. Even if Groudon protects, it's okay, because then I can pivot out the Incin out into Weezing just to deactivate Slow Start for 1 turn. And that's all I need at this point, because I have Eternatus as like late game insurance for us right now, which is good. Okay, they don't protect. Nice. We get Fake Out off. Yeah, I should have got Knock Off instead of Drain Punch the previous turn, though. We'll get Max Strike off, which is nice. Not terrible damage. I would think here Rotom flares into the Gigas slot. That would make the most sense. Okay, Groudon flinches. Flare comes out. Yep. Should survive that. Okay, good. Because now their Dynamax is over. I still have Eternatus with Meteor Beam, which will just win against the Rotom and the Incineroar. And so what I just do now is pivot out the Incin into Weezing. Cancel Slow Start, Strike into Groudon. Actually, I like Hailstorm into Groudon more because it gets rid of the sun, and I don't want Rotom to have the sun right now. Or Incin in the back to have the sun. Really cool team, though. Groudon Exeggcute. Very, very cool. Okay. Ooh, they switch. Well, I actually should have considered the switch. That would have been a reason to have gone for Strike. Strike would have won me the game there. So actually, I guess like it's fine if they have the sun up. It's better to just guarantee a KO there because that actually it's a really good switch. And it baited a hailstorm. So yeah, I should have thought about the switch more. Like because of the possibility of the switch, there's very little reason to do what I did there. And like we actually would have fainted from overheat anyway, so that definitely wasn't worth it for us. But it's okay, because I have my own Incineroar and I have Eternatus now, and I think Eternatus should clean up the game for us. It's just that Gigas could have cleaned it up for us already at this point in the match. I just don't know how fast their Incineroar is relative to ours. Using King's on with the Sliver. I think we just bring Eternatus out right now, and Eternatus should one-shot everything at this point in the game. So, yeah. Here, you probably just fake out into Eternatus. I'm just going to Sludge Bomb into Rotom, and at +1, after a Meteor Beam, even if we miss Meteor Beam, Dynamax Cannon and Sludge Bomb should clean up. They actually protect Rotom, which is surprising to me. But I'm fine with that, because, yeah, you probably... Oh, they don't even fake out. Okay, so that should be game over then. Because +1 Dynamax Cannon should knock out Groudon from this range. So... That's the cool thing with Eternatus. You can either use it in the early game or in the late game, and in this one we used it in the late game. Okay. So we get the Meteor Beam off. Boom. Nice. Eternatus just basically needs to make sure it doesn't get one shot. That's what I found in playing with it. Yeah. Okay, not bad. Exeggcute was really interesting here, though. And, like, I wasn't 100% sure of what to expect. But now we just outspeed, we have fake outs, so... And Rotom's at -2 special attack, so... like, Eternatus walls it really hard, actually. So, yeah, I think if you're playing with this team, you know, 2 different modes, either early Eternatus or late Eternatus. And this was an example of a late game Eternatus game. But I think this means we'll have time for another match, actually, so let's do it. Let's see. I can fake out here, obviously, very safely. I think it's just fake out Groudon, Dynamax Cannon into Rotom. Yeah, there's very little downside to that. That seems fine to me. Okay, yeah. Like, once Eternatus gets that boost, and, like, there's not much damage output from my opponent at that point in the game, so things felt pretty good. So yeah, I mean, the main thing here is my opponent just didn't have much offense outside of Groudon and Rotom, but Rotom under... You don't really want to be using Rotom in Trick Room, under Trick Room, and Dynamax it without the sun up, and so the fact that the sun wasn't up was a big deal, so yeah. But let's play one more. Alright, next match of the day. What do we got here? Rayquaza Rillaboom. Wow. Haven't seen Rayquaza in a minute. I mean, Weezing Gigas is pretty... they have Cinderace, so I think I'd probably just want to set up Tailwind. It's just going to be the same core. Tornadus, Eternatus, Weezing Gigas, I think. Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, alright, let's see how this plays out. The goal here is to just set up Tailwind, and then use Gigas to sweep in the late game, I think. Eternatus is also very good into my opponent's team, especially if they lead Cinderace, and I Tailwind, I can just Tailwind Meteor Beam into Cinderace turn 1, which would be huge. There goes Cinderace Bisharp. Okay, yeah, this is definitely Tailwind Meteor Beam turn 1, I think. Even if you protect... I mean, Cinderace very rarely carries protect. I don't know if Meteor Beam one-shots, though, and it definitely could be Assault Vest as well, but I don't think there's any downside to Tailwind Meteor Beam in this position. And I think what my opponent was hoping to do was max Airstream and Assurance into Regigigas, or Weezing. So, once again, what I love about this team is that Tornadus plus Eternatus often covers what Weezing Gigas is not good against. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's... What am I scared of here? You Dynamax Cinderace, you're Assault Vest... If you don't... I mean, you definitely max here, right? Do you actually? Like, do you respect Dynamax Cannon enough to max? Oh, they switch. Okay. Yeah, that's a good play. But they go on to Thundurus, which just takes this Meteor Beam to the face. So that's obviously pretty good for us. It's a double switch. Rayquaza? Oh, they didn't even bring their restricted. That's interesting. But, like... if we just one-shot Thundurus turn 1, we're in pretty good shape, because Weezing Gigas should just close out this game for us, honestly, once we have Tailwind up. So Tornadus plus Eternatus is really putting in work for us right now, which is great. Okay, nice. But they dodge. Man, that's actually such a bad dodge, but it is what it is. I think I'm just going to Hurricane into Gastrodon and Dynamax Cannon it here, but I think we just win the game if Meteor Beam hits turn 1. But unfortunately, that's Meteor Beam. You can miss. Yeah, I mean, I like my play turn 1. I don't think I would have done things any differently. Gastrodon maxing here would be interesting, because then we just get a +1 Dynamax Cannon into it, so the question is whether or not my opponent actually considers maxing it, but I feel like you should just max. Yeah, they're Eerie Impulse as well. Oh, I could have taunted Thundurus there then to deny the Eerie Impulse. That's such a frustrating miss, but unfortunately that's what you get for using Meteor Beam. I think Taunt into Thundurus was better there, because support Thundurus was fairly likely as soon as I see it here. But Dynamax Cannon wasn't going to KO there anyway, I suppose. And we miss Hurricane. That's Pokemon for you sometimes. Eternatus survives though, which is nice. But definitely frustrating couple of turns there for us. I think I'm going to Taunt here into Thundurus. And just go for another... Maybe I conserve Eternatus, actually. Let's not tilt, because this is definitely still winnable, right? Both of those misses are so bad, though. Yeah, I think I will just go for another Hurricane and Dynamax Cannon on a Gastrodon. See if they Thunderbolt. Yeah, it looks like they are. If we hit Hurricane, I think we knock out Gastrodon, which is still pretty good. But the thing is, now they have Cinderace. I just needed the numbers advantage in this game, and by not picking up that quick knockout, it was tough. But I think Hurricane should KO. And once again, you can't really complain about missing Hurricane because the accuracy is so subpar, and I think like this episode alone should highlight how Hurricane can be very inconsistent as an option. Yeah, so it's T-Bolt into Thundurus. It's enough for a KO. I can bring in Gigas now, which is good, but... Because I think it would have been near impossible for my opponent to deal with a +1 Eternatus without Eerie Impulse Thundurus. But that's just how the game shakes up. I could have taunted turn 2. I don't even know if that helps that much. Taunt Dynamax Cannon to Thundurus? I don't even think that's a KO, so I don't know if that's worth it. I bring in Gigas, I can... The thing is, you probably have Thunder Wave on the Thundurus, which is the other like part of the problem here. But honestly, I think here I actually just eat up the slow start. Like, I want a Dynamax and just Hailstorm into Thundurus, because Bisharp should be sashed, and then just Flamethrower into Bisharp. Question is whether or not -1 Flamethrower plus the Hail Chip is enough to KO. Because I don't think you're not going to Dynamax either of these, right? My opponent's waiting to Dynamax that Cinderace. So... Yep, they don't max. Which is a big deal. Because if we conserve our Cinderace, we can use it for a Dynamax Cannon alone into Cinderace. Although I don't think it's a one-hit KO without the special attack boost. So that's where maybe Taunt could have helped us a little bit earlier. Oh! Wait, they are Dynamaxing. Dang, I didn't see that coming, to be honest. I should think that's really smart on their end, because Steel resists the Dynamax Cannon. Yeah, that's a great play. That is a very, very good play, and I like that a lot. Yeah, they have Thunder Wave too, but we avoid it, which is, I guess, a little bit fortunate. It's close whether or not Flamethrower into Hailstorm would have KO'd. Wait, why is their Bisharp so... Oh, we have Tailwind up, that's why. Totally forgot about that. Okay, well, I can bring in Weezing, but this is where not having Max Quake or Max Flare really hurts, because I can't even knock out Bisharp next turn. There's Citrus Thundurus too, yeah. So, sometimes you live and die by the Meteor Beam. Yeah, it's Steel Spike into Eternatus. I mean, I can bring in Gigas now and, like, Strike. It's just that I get hit by a T-Wave, and then you have High Jump Kick Cinderace probably in the back, and then that just comes out. And I think like that should highlight like, you know, potential risk in using this team. If you miss Meteor Beam, it's often very, very detrimental. So Tailwind's out now. You just go for T-Wave onto Gigas. T-Wave onto Gigas. Steel Spike into Weezing, right? Oh, I have Max Knuckle. Wait, I actually forgot about that. So I actually can't hit the Bisharp. Okay, then I think the play is to Max Knuckle Bisharp and Protect here. I think I still lose. It'll be close, actually. It'll be very close. Because if we can one-shot Bisharp, you bring out Cinder. They max guarded Bisharp? Wow. Wow, I really didn't think they'd make that play. And they're just Thunder. They're not even T-Waving. It was Taunt. Wow. Well, now I think I lose the game because you can just T-Wave Gigas. If I max Strike there, we'd actually be in a... It depends on what the Cinderace set has in the back. +1 defense, +1 defense. I have Knuckle. Like here, your play is to just T-Wave Gigas and then Steel Spike Weezing. So I think I need to hope for a double Protect right now. That was a good max card. I really wasn't expecting that. Okay, we do get the double off, so... Trying our best here. Wait, they didn't even Thunder Wave. I'm really confused. Wow. Okay. Oh, wait. They might have Thunder Wave. They just might have no speed investment. I didn't even think about that. Because we shut down Prankster. Right, they did. Wait, then I actually misplayed that. Because I knew last turn Gigas outsped the Bisharp. Yeah, I should have, I could have just Sludge Bombed there and picked up a KO. Comes down to what the Cinderace has here, I think. No, even if, I don't know, I think you just, well, I could Will-O-Wisp, you can Taunt. Dang. Yeah. I should have realized like Gigas was just outspeeding the Thundurus. That was kind of a misplay. Because if I just Sludge Bomb there, it's a 2v1. And I think I win in a 2v1 scenario here, but now you just High Jump Kick. That's actually a pretty big mistake. Okay. I shall Drain Punch and Sludge Bomb here, I think. Nicely done. I mean, I think... Yeah, they do just High Jump Kick. We could win off a miss, but no miss, unfortunately. And yeah, that's enough to KO Gigas. I don't know if Weezing could have taken... If they had Steel Spike, or sorry, Iron Head, we would have lost anyway on Cinderace. 2 Power Balls with Life Orb is actually probably enough to win anyway. So yeah, they ended up Taunt, which is the correct play. But yeah, Meteor Beam can be very volatile sometimes, and this is a good example of it, where by missing... It didn't cost us the game. We definitely actually had opportunities afterwards, but it's just such a bad miss, because it would have just KO'd Thundurus, I would think. We pick up that knockout, like my opponent's in such a tough spot. But, you know... sometimes that just happens, and Meteor Beam obviously is not 100% accurate, so you have to include that in your risk assessment when using it. Oh, they had Iron Head on Cinderace anyway, okay, so I think they would have won this. Well, actually, that did less than I expected it to. Oh, but because I don't have any... Yeah, Sludge Bomb isn't even doing much here. Oh, wait, I actually forgot about Libero being cancelled. That's why I did less, right? Do I survive another Iron Head here? I don't think so, right? They actually shouldn't have Iron Headed. They should have Pyro Balled. Did they miss? Oh. Wait, does this KO? You have got to be kidding me. What was that? That was wild. I think Iron Head may have... So, like, they should have Pyro Balled initially for more damage. I think Iron Ball may have just KO'd from that range anyway. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that's justice in the end, but what a game. Citrus, Eerie Impulse, yeah, we need that. Miracle Seed, Rillaboom, and then maybe Rayquaza, but yeah, Rayquaza's not exactly a great bring into an Eternatus matchup, so I don't really blame them for not bringing it. But that was, I mean, that was just wild. What a crazy set of games. So that's the potential of Eternatus today. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much as always for watching. Thank you to the original creator for the team. And yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next time. All right, peace.